I'm keeping up with my promise from the start of the season. We're going to update you on Brashard Smith at least every other week, if not every week, on his workload and opportunities. And they're starting to say big things about him in the media. Things have definitely changed since we last talked about him. So this is definitely warranted. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're doing deep dives on as many players as possible every single day. On top of that, we go harder in the paint and the waiver wire than any other channel on YouTube, multiple videos throughout the week, and we're helping you set your lineups with rankings, and we do the must-start video where we look at every single matchup, talking about every single player, whether to start or sit that player. Click that button. Stop missing out. Right now, it is big news that Brashard Smith is getting more work and opportunities. Been looking solid, been getting more respect with the coaching staff, and the Walrus is here to talk about.
You're trusting Brashard maybe earlier than other rookies in previous years. I guess what has he shown you that he's able to handle that load?
Well, literally, being able to handle it's half the battle. Just from a mental standpoint, he's picked it up well. He's in a good room where guys can help him and have done some of these things that we're asking him to do in the past. So he's willing to listen, pretty humble kid, and works hard.
Not just the Walrus, but Patrick Mahomes is saying glowing things about Brashard Smith and how he can be used in the offense.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. It's just like any other rookie in this offense. You kind of give him more and more each and every week, and he's done a good job of taking it in and going out there and executing at a high level. And so we'll continue to do that. It helps that he's played receiver a lot, so he can run routes, and he also played running back, so he can run between the tackles. And those are special football players to have because it keeps the defenses guessing, and that's what you want to do. You want them on their heels and then be able to attack them in a variety of different ways.
Last time we talked about him, he was getting mentioned in the media about how he could be stealing work. The running backs haven't been looking good. Prior to that, people were looking at him as a handcuff lottery ticket running back at the end of drafts. Not just me, but pretty much anybody out there talking about fantasy football. And we are starting to see a ramp up in work. A 26% snap share in week 4 against the Ravens. 4 rushing attempts, 4 targets. Not a lot, but it's something. The workload is trending up, and this is why we're doing videos on Brashard Smith at least every other week, if not every week, so we can look at those trends. The last time we said, hey, the workload's not enough yet. Now we're starting to see it trend up, and we're starting to hear things in the media to a point where he's not under the radar as much anymore. And a lot of people are pegging him to Jerick McKinnon. You just search his name in Jerick McKinnon, and it comes up a lot. We called out Jerick McKinnon's breakout. We called it because we were looking at the routes run among running backs that time, and his numbers just popped up higher than a lot of running backs. And just watching the trends here, we knew something was up in the back end of the season, and you see the routes go up, the numbers go up, and he became a legend, a league winner for that season in fantasy football, killing it with 3 RB1 weeks and 2 RB2 weeks to finish the fantasy football season. And you're just seeing it in numbers. You see the routes come up, the fantasy production comes up, the route participation, just getting work, more targets, more opportunities. That leads to fantasy production. We're also starting, but not high enough, seeing the routes increase for Brashard Smith. It's on a sample of 1, 6 routes in week 1, 2 in week 2, 3 in week 3, and then 10 in week 4. And they're talking about him. They're talking him up in the media. So we're expecting more, especially looking at these running backs. And we're going to deep dive on how bad these running backs are here in a minute. But he was getting reps with the first team in training camp and preseason. They noticed his skill set, his athleticism, his pass-catching prowess early on because he's a former wide receiver. Not just a former wide receiver, but actually a highly recruited wide receiver that big schools were chasing during the high school recruiting process. He committed to Florida, backed out, went to Miami, big-time school. Alabama was after him, but we transferred to SMU. We switched to running back. We get it done on the ground and in the passing game, catching 39 balls. Even at Miami, we had some big performances there. We had some big moments. Yards after contact per attempt at SMU, 3.34. Yards after the catch per reception, 8.1, 7.9. Getting the ball behind the line of scrimmage a lot as well. ADOTs isn't super high, but again, used as a weapon, used as a jigsaw piece, and you're looking at how dominant he can be. He can be dominant on the ground. He can be dominant through the air and with different schools, and that is something to see. That is different. You do not see that every day. A guy that can kill it through the air like this, that has 4.3 speed, and a guy that can kill it on the ground with a new program instantly off the rip. We run a 4.39 40-yard dash, shade under 200 pounds, good speed score here, 75th percentile, but remember, we're under 200 pounds. But the thing about his profile is he's also a wide receiver. He's more of a weapon in this offense than a straight-up running back. Someone mentioned in the other video, like, what about the Chiefs' offensive line and all this? He's also going to be in the slot. He's going to be moved around. He's not going to be straight-up running back. He's not going to be straight-up Ashton Jeanty, Bijan. He's going to be in the backfield, moved around, used in the pass game, still getting carries up the gut. He's going to be a jigsaw piece alongside the other running backs, if not being the running back eventually, while being a jigsaw piece in those moments, because he's going to open things up. You're looking at these running backs. It's not a secret. Pacheco's not looking good. Hunt's not looking good. Pacheco got banged up. He had that massive injury. We ain't been right since. We had our first RB2. We actually, last week, since the injury, maybe something's coming up, but his efficiency metrics haven't been the same. Kareem Hunt, he served his career. He's done his job. He's 30 years old. We came back. We had some moments last year. We saw that trend down. That trend is continuing. We can volume into production for fantasy, but football-wise, he ain't been getting it done. And you're looking at the true yards per carry and the yards created per rush attempt. Brashard Smith's beating him in yards created per rush attempt. True yards per carry, he's beating Kareem Hunt, not too far off from Isiah Pacheco. He's on a smaller sample. He's more explosive. That's why you can create more yards. Isiah Pacheco should be more explosive. On paper he is, but he had that massive injury. He has not been the same. Brashard Smith, though, you're looking at two things here. Yards created per rush, he's leading them. And then on top of that, Isiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, with their volume, they're not getting it done efficiency-wise, especially Pacheco here. When you're looking at true yards per carry, 35th among running backs, yards per touch, 40th, juke rate, 47th, evaded tackles, 53rd, while getting 32 carries, 34th among running backs. So the efficiency metrics ain't really up to snuff with the ranking of the carries. And yards per route run, 37th. Yards per reception, 33. All that, with the yards created being 44th and yards created per touch being 41st, says, hey, we ain't getting it done. Vision-wise, efficiency-wise, burst-wise, we ain't getting it done. We ain't busting any long gains. We're not getting it out there. And we do not have a rush attempt for these running backs that have went for more than 15 yards. Their breakaway run rate is non-existent with these running backs. You can kind of exclude Smith here because he's not getting the same volume. Hunt's not getting it. Pacheco's not getting it. When it comes to 10-plus yards, just 4 carries between the two running backs. When you're looking at that route, you're looking at massive inefficiencies here. When you're looking at the targets here, Pacheco 9, Hunt 6, Smith 6. Smith, with way less snaps, is working up to those running backs. Also proves jigsaw piece, jigsaw weapon for this team. Also will be able to get it done and get that volume in the passing game. And you definitely have evidence on the field that they recognize him as a receiving threat. Also, route participation rate. Hunt's pretty high considering how non-explosive he is and considering how explosive Brashard Smith is. Hunt's great around the goal line and stuff, but maybe they're thinking about taking away some of that. He's running 11 routes per game. Pacheco's running 14. Right now, Brashard Smith's running 4, but his last game he ran 10 routes. He's got a route in the slot. Pacheco just has 2 routes in the slot. He is being used differently. When it comes to route participation rate, he ranks 58th among running backs. He's the RB3 on the team, so maybe he's top of the RB3s, if that's actually a thing. But really, when you're thinking about this, one of those 2 running backs are going to lose their opportunity. They're going to lose the gerb. They're going to lose that gerb. And then Brashard Smith's going to take it over eventually. They're already talking about in the media, this can't go on forever. We can't keep it up, either an injury or just straight up changed. Like, you're looking at the routes. Hunt's running 11 routes per game. Can we reduce that and get more to Smith? Pacheco's running 14.75. His yards per reception are low, and they need to get more out of the running back position as we look at those efficiency numbers. Either those efficiency numbers goes up, or some of that starts going to Brashard Smith, and you're seeing that in the media, how that needs to change soon for them to get this offense ramped up to even more. There's also rumors, this is older, that they were looking at other running backs, as those starting running backs have been piss poor. They're still piss poor, and now they're talking up Brashard Smith. If they do bring in another running back like a Jerome Ford, I'm not worried, because he's got his own little Jerick McKinnon role here that we're watching the snaps and routes, and those are increasing. We're watching that by the day, by the week, as they keep increasing. You're watching the schedule, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We just need the roll. We just need the routes to increase, the snaps to increase. We're watching that every single week. The routes, we're watching snaps. Can't get a target unless you run a route. If the routes start to increase, the targets will eventually increase. Snaps start to increase, the routes increase. They're going to use him in the passing game, and then he's going to be more effective. We're looking at his receiving volume over his rushing volume, because one, when it comes to PPR, catching balls out of the backfield is worth more in fantasy than it is running the ball. It's more efficient fantasy points per touch. It lends to more upside as you get the ball in space, especially when you got 4.3 speed. And two, we know how they're going to use him, how they're excited to use him. You want him because of that Jerick McKinnon breakout. Everybody's salivating for that. Everybody's been waiting for that. That could potentially happen. You don't want him because that ramp up of Jerick McKinnon and the downslide of Jerick McKinnon. And also, this offense has a lot of weapons. You have to recognize he's a rookie. He's a late round rookie. He could also be volatile. Rashee Rice is good. He's going to be back. Worthy's good. They didn't have those weapons when Jerick McKinnon was hitting. But still, that 4.3 speed gives you upside. Could give you a good utility player at the end of your bench. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.